I should explain what we're doing. Anna, you want to come help explain what we're doing?
No.
Come on, come sit.
Come on.
What are we doing? What are we planting? What's that? What's that? What is it? Tree. Anna and I are planting trees. Yeah?
Whoa!
Whoa! Alright, here we go, Anna. This is the last tree. Almost all done, yeah. All done. So we're back inside. That seems pretty obvious. It's actually a few days later after we recorded Anna and I digging a hole and putting the tree in it. It's been a few days, had some time to think. I've actually recorded this whole section once before and then promptly formatted my card without checking to make sure I got everything off the card, so that was fun. But I've had some time to think about that experience, and I think, you know, the one thing that I'm realizing many of us have is time to think. And one of the things that I've been thinking about is the Christian hope in the face of everything that's going on. And I don't know about you, but I've seen a whole lot of, what can be divisiveness online and arguing and really, you know, flat out anger and rage and, you know, everything, conspiracy theories, like it's just wild. And what I find even a little bit crazier is that, you know, for a lot of people, it kind of looks like Christians are right in the center of it, and just right in the center of this divisiveness and argumentation and anger and even, you know, conspiracy theories and spreading false information, and like it's just it's confusing to me, and I mean, I think at the end of the day, maybe, you know, we have a little bit too much time on our hands, but it got me thinking, you know, what really is the hope of the Christian in the face of everything that we're going through, in the face of physical illness, in the face of mental illness, in the face of, you know, separation and all the things that come with that, in the face of very real economic challenges, and in the face of starting to reopen and how to be wise and safe in that, and how to honor, you know, medical professionals and how to guard them as we, you know, continue to, you know, to play our part, all of us, wherever that lands you. And it landed me in the very last book of the Bible, and actually in my Bible, what is the very last page of the last book of the entire Bible. It's the book of Revelation, and it really captures, I think, the hope of the Christian in the face of all these things. And it's found in Revelation 22. And, if you're new to the Bible, or if you haven't spent much time in that last book, what happens is in chapter 21, there's this vision of a new heaven and a new earth, and God's dwelling comes to be in that new heaven and new earth. And, John Mark Comer describes it as a garden city, because in many ways it is a return to the way things were initially created to be, what the Bible calls the Garden of Eden, but it's not just simply going back to that. It is a new restoration of a garden that also captures this city, a new Jerusalem, a new human city. And so it's this beautiful picture of a garden city and God making his dwelling place with the people. And then in chapter 22, which is, for me, the very last page of the Bible, there's an image of a river. And the river comes down and it flows, and there's, a little bit of language around the water being clear as crystal, and it flows down from the throne of God, like it kind of comes out of the throne of God, and it goes down the middle of this great city, this garden city. And on either side, it says there's the tree of life bearing its fruit and yielding its fruit every month. And then there's this beautiful sentence. It says, in my translation, it says, "And the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nations." The leaves of the tree for the healing of the nations. It goes on to say, like, no longer will there be any curse. The throne of God and of Jesus will be in the city, and we will know God and be known by God. And it's this beautiful image of perfect and complete reconciliation, the healing of the nations. And that, for me, encompasses a lot of what Christians ought to hope for, but also, hear this, what Christians ought to work for. What we ought to be doing is working toward the healing of the nations, working for the healing of the nations, because the reality of the kingdom of God is that it's not something that we hope for in the future. It's not this hope that is only in the future. It is a future hope, but it is also breaking into the world right now. It is something that God is doing in the world right now. It's also something you can participate in. And so if you call yourself a follower of Jesus, I think the challenge to each one of us is, how do we work for the healing of the nations? How do we work to help build the kingdom? How do we allow God to use us to plant in that garden city? Because ultimately, that's where this thing's headed. And if you call yourself a follower of Jesus, you know where this thing is headed. You know where this thing ends. And so there's no reason for fear. There's no reason for conspiracy. There's no reason for, divisiveness, because we know that at the end of the day, Jesus has defeated and will continue to defeat things like sin and death and evil in the world. Listen, that may sound a little bit crazy to you. I may sound a little bit crazy to you for believing some of these things, but I think that there's real human hope because of the promises that God offers to us in the Bible. And one of those hopes is the healing of the nations. So listen, whether you call yourself a follower of Jesus or not, I think one thing that we can all agree on is, let's work toward the healing of the nations right here and now. Let's not let it be something that only happens in the future. Let's help it to happen right here and right now, in your life, in my life, and in the world. All right, I love you. That's about it for this video. I'll see you Sunday, and then next week as well for brand new videos. I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and even the little bell beside it. It really helps the channel out, and it helps you receive the content that we're putting out as soon as it comes out. So if you found any of this helpful or challenging or encouraging, I'd invite you to hit that subscribe button. Okay, see you in the next video.